my name is Denise Gallant, and this is In the Loop Art and Technology. And today we have some very special guests, New Music Works from Santa Cruz, and over here on my left is Phil Collins and Sayaka Yibuki, Dave Rohr, and Mark Plummer. And they're all from New Music Works. And they're going to talk about their upcoming show in October 28th and 29th at the Rio Theater, Metropolis, based on the movie. So that sounds like a really interesting theme. It has a lot of visual connotations about the Metropolis. And where did that idea come from?
Lawrence Bedford of the Rio Theater suggested it. And he'd, in 2003, come to us and suggested we do Nosferatu, which we did twice after that. And he also wanted to bring together artists who would create a whole environment for the Rio Theater that would be suggestive of the, Bauhaus, Germany, 1920s. The film was from 1927, and it represents a milestone in filmmaking in many respects. Duration is one of them. It's 2 hours and 26 minutes now, and it's a combination of political, science fiction, avant-garde, communist, a lot of themes, and it obviously took a great deal of time to put together. And I should say that what spurred it all on is that several years ago in Buenos Aires they found 25 minutes of missing footage from the film, and the film had always had a reputation for being kind of disjointed. And I'd seen it a couple times, and I'd accompanied it on organ and piano long ago myself, and it found it to be I didn't understand it very well. And this 25 minutes finishes out a lot of the plot lines. It completes things that just kind of fell off the edge. And some of it is just in what's called intertitles explaining what's missing. But most of the time it's also footage that's been replaced. It's a little worse for wear. But it's just a stunning accomplishment. And being offered to do the music to it was just irresistible,
Okay, so let's get back to that because I have a lot of questions about that. But let's talk in general about what is New Music Works. You're in your 32nd season, and it started in 1979, and you've been there since 1982. So tell us about what you're trying to do with New Music Works.
Well, we tried to do a lot of things. Actually, I've been there since 1979. I became the artistic director by virtue of, I don't know, atrophy.
We all stepped back.
And it came together with 5 composers, 2 of them from Carbondale, Illinois, and the rest of us not knowing each other. The composers were Gene Lewis, very, very popular and gifted musician who passed away in 2000. And Richard Freeman Toole, Timothy Bell, myself, and Ron Elfing. And Ron Elfing continues to work with New Music Works. He's a winemaker, just won the state gold with his Cabernet.
But what winery?
He's a private. He leases, grapes
to
and
other people.
Does his own.
Kind of like a family vineyard, I guess.
Okay, it was kind of off topic, but we grow grapes. That's why I was wondering.
So got a bottle, and why not?
So that's he remains participating in and not performing or anything. And from the very beginning, I was interested in presenting having a venue to present my own works, and knew that I didn't also have an ambition to do only my own works. And the other composers presented a very, very wide breadth of approaches. And from the very start, we tried to incorporate as many, invite composers, start commissions. And I was deep in the performance art already and loved it, and had done some films in college, and so the direction of New Music Works was essentially to do chamber music and an average of one theatrical work a year. And sometimes it got to 2. And back in the early 80s, there was a lot less of a permission to do things on the fly. And we did some shows where just people were doing it for the love of it. And as you get more successful, that becomes you have to make that change. And so theater is a very expensive thing, and that brings us to Metropolis, which is in the mid-90s. Silent film accompaniment started to be our version of theater. Because it was more affordable and it was also really fun.
So I know you work with dancers and, as you said, theater and films, and yeah, so it's sort of, and now the artists that are putting together the graphics for Metropolis, and so it's sort of a whole multimedia kind of synesthesia experience then? It's not just music? Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I've been on a little bit of a tangent, but I've been teaching world music and ethnic music in the U.S. since 2000. And it's really come to be very clear to me that music does not survive outside of a community of larger, concerns and interests, and the society is necessary. That new music has lacked that. It's lacked having a context that people think it's anything but screaming violins out of tune or something. Mm-hmm. And it's because it's a new thing. It takes time to generate a community around it, but that to me is indispensable, and you want to have an inclusive experience if it's going to grow and stay, and that's in recent years we've had some great collaborations that have really made the group grow, and I must say Sayaka's working for us and helping do the managerial stuff has been just showing what we can do when we really have good help.
Let's go on to Sayaka, and then we'll get back to all those themes, because there's several themes in that are really interesting. But tell us a little bit about your history, and your history also with this group. And I read that you started out being a violin player.
Yeah, I grew up being in violin, being my main instrument, but as I got more interested in other, I guess you could call it outside music, outside of classical music tradition, I got interested in music technology, synthesizer, composing on using computer, and currently I play theremin, synthesizer, violin. I sing, and I write my music, and so that's my background. But I also have always had a relationship with visual arts, and so multimedia and that field of using different mediums in art and music, video, dance. That's always been an interest to me. And when I found New Music Works, I guess it's been about 4 years now, I got introduced to the organization and really was really impressed by how many risks the group would take with music that was outside of what was widely accepted. Yes, it's actually the 33rd season. Just to make a quick correction, but yeah.
That's why you have a publicist. Yeah, very good.
I'm also the publicist. Yeah.
Well, you're not just a publicist either. You know, she also plays in a rock and roll band, and
Well, I was gonna
she's
say,
been dancing.
you were
Yeah,
doing
I'm in several different bands here.
She's a very bright personality.
Yes. And so, like, for instance, you're doing your tsunami relief show,
Yeah.
and you're working with punk artists, and you were playing your violin, but it definitely sounded more like a synthesizer than a violin.
Yeah. about a year now, but I did, I met a local electric guitar and songwriter, Tate Reed, and we started working on music together, and he's very knowledgeable about pedals and amps, and we worked together to figure out a way to bring the violin through those different circuits, and also let the true voice of the violin still come through without making it too synthesizer-y.
So do you play those pedals at the same time while you're playing?
Yeah, so I'm kind of playing my violin as like a guitar player would play his guitar through his pedals and amp, and yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, well, we'll get back to that too. So, Dave, what do you do with this organization?
Oh, I'm one of the techno nerds, actually. Phil contacted me 8 or so years ago to help do some sound reinforcement work, and then over the years I've gotten involved in doing more things with stage management and sort of helping at the front end as well. Phil and I have been, well, for the latest thing, we went out and we're doing what I called soundscaping. So we went out, and we actually went out on the Aptos Bridge with a big metal chunk, a big chunk of, was it pipe? Or steel pole?
The digging bar.
A digging bar, yeah. And I took a DAT recorder out there and was out banging on the bridge because we were trying to find the right sounds for something. And after a while, I thought, this must look pretty strange for people driving by underneath. But so, getting involved in capturing samples, and I've had a long love of audio and video, and done a lot of work in that over the years, and theatrical lighting and stuff. So kind of work in the tech area. I'm not a performer, but I love music, and as Sayaka said, the risks the group does is really interesting. At one point we are playing a piece that you just sit at the piano and play nothing at all.
Oh, right.
And another point, we know Sayaka and some of her friends are up there with liquid jello and lots of people banging on bowls, and then there's also things that approach what you might even consider to be fairly straightforward symphonic or chamber music, and everything in between. It's just a real interesting mix, and it's been really fun to be involved in it.
I should just add in that Dave, as he said, he's taken on, kind of a production manager role that was sorely needed. That he's had experience in so many technical aspects that he's helping. Like, we have kind of an executive group with Sayaka, myself, and Dave, and Jack Bowers too. That is making up for there's expertise in a lot of areas now, and it's great to have them. Dave's really dedicated and has great oversight, and it's enabled us to do these risky things with a lot more of a lot better netting.
Great. And let's see, actually, Sayaka, I read something. You consider yourself an electronic sound artist, so it sounds like that's what you are too, as far as creating these new sounds. Now, do you create the sounds to the composition, or does the composition grow out of the sounds?
Well, Dave has helped us with production of the pieces, sound and also recording.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a performer in that sense, but for example, Sayaka and I did some stuff when she was doing her piece, and she came over to my house and we set up all the pedals and everything.
Yeah, actually, Dave was very instrumental in figuring out the whole violin.
Debugging and all that.
Yeah, debugging.
And I sometimes suggest sounds and so forth, but I'm not a musician in the sense of that. That's what these guys do.
He's a behind-the-scenes guy.
Yeah, but he helps make it.
Makes us look great.
Yeah,
So it's good
audio
synergy.
genius.
Yeah, it's a good synergy. You've got people who've got, like Phil and I, we must have spent 5 or 6 hours trying to find the right sound. So we go out and
That was
hammer
one
on
day.
some things. That was one day, yeah. And I'd go through and tune it up a little bit and throw it into various audio editors and Cinema Clip, and he'd say, yeah, it's not bad, but it's missing something here. And, since I'm not a musician, I don't quite have the same language as well. So we've had a great time trying to explain what we think we hear in a verbal environment, and what you're trying to describe as a sonic attribute. So it's been very interesting. As we work and develop our library of not only communication styles, but also the sounds we have available to use. And we finally closed in on it, I think. It sounds really cool. Yeah, that was a tough one.
So do you ever come up with a sound that nobody else has quite heard before? And then
you bet.
And
come to see Metropolis.
Yeah, you'll hear lots of sounds you've never heard.
And we can't play it for you now, so it's secret.
Top secret.
That's right. You buy a ticket to hear it.
So the original sounds aren't used at all, the original score.
Right.
And you
There's
just completely redone a new score.
Yeah, there's kind of not really a halfway on that one. It's they've resurrected the original score and the Bluetooth version that they have disseminated. And I'm guilty of not remembering the composer's name, and I'm also guilty
I actually have it here.
of not really.
Gottfried
Endorsing.
Huppertz.
Yeah, that's it.
1888.
Well, you know, it's
I was just curious.
I don't want to give a Monday evening quarterback on his work, because it's an enormous job, and he wrote for full orchestra at a time when people had to write on onion skin and write all the parts out. And I know that he didn't have the luxury of time, which I identify with him on that one. And during that time, in 1927, when sound was still not in films, or just beginning to be, music was accompanied by, keyboardists with the big giant reel book that had everything from Tchaikovsky's symphonies to the most recent popular songs to everything. And there was this style of miming and carrying the energy forward, and the musical language of that time, which is kind of like da 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 da, it gets to be a bit worn because it's such a long film. He uses very little material, and the film is extremely complex, extremely deep in story, and the composer didn't have time to include all the cues that Fritz Lang put into it that have to do with understanding counterpoints in the story and concurrent things that are happening. So what's fascinating to me is our context is so dramatically different. You had a symphony orchestra of near 100 people given scores, and then the conductors following the screen and praying for rain. And here we have, the score written out in a time-coded video with the musicians reading a time-coded screen, and music written out with time coding. So there's a lot of and we have almost 100 years of film music to learn from, and this different styles that has become very sophisticated, of course. So it's and we're adding live voice, which of course wasn't done in the original. And I just wanted to do that because it's such a film about humanity and the masses. You see great numbers of people running and protesting and dancing and all these different things, and the suppressed masses and the rebellers and rich and all this fighting and all, and it without any voices in it. And one of the virtues of good silent film is you don't have many subtitles, and he doesn't. He doesn't. If he does, if you're writing them all out, but it's such that you really have to go a lot on the storytelling of what you're looking at, and
those musicians playing that live.
Yeah, and one of the things about the film is the original score is it's constantly working to create emotional climaxes and drops, And a lot of the film is just doesn't need that. It needs just to be a supportive atmosphere and follow the dialogue. You know, if it's dialogue or something where there's just, you know, story being developed, and you don't really want action in addition to it. At least that's how I'm approaching it.
So it is more like a landscape in that way.
Well, all that and it's kind of like, that's what I mean. We have this very rich ways of looking at this in different perspectives as a performance art piece of the past. We're using all kinds of sounds that aren't part of that earlier vocabulary. We're drawing from that musical vernacular all the time as well. I mean, it's a lot more referential at that time in history in Germany and music than it is for now a lot of the times. And the thing of having a choir, like I say, is just it makes it a very difficult job, but it's very exciting to have these potential of these scenes where you have lots of people on the screen being represented in song while they're doing it, because there's a lot of scenes that suggest they could be. I'll shut up. I'm going to.
You're giving too much away, Phil.
Well, I did write down a choir that's involved, and that was
Ario Singers.
Ario Singers, okay. So anyway, in the meantime, Mark, what is your part in the movie and the performance?
Well, let's see. I've been involved with New Music Works. I'm trying to remember now how many years. I think it's been 4 or 5 years. I think I came in kind of after Dave.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But I was actually.
What's your name again?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Talk to my agent.
What was the first project?
Well, the first project that I can recall was Nosferatu. So,
2003.
Which is a nice segue because we're talking about Metropolis, and Nosferatu was a very similar kind of thing, taking this classic silent film and creating a score for it, which you did, and this is where we worked out the whole time code thing that we were talking about, which was kind of mind blowing to try to figure out how to do it at first. It's like, how are we going to pull this off? You're going to play live, and how are you going to get the cues all right and everything? And so we figured out this system of
Indispensable. He thought it up. Should get a patent for it.
And
marking up the score with the time code numbers that corresponded to the sections of the film and then we ran a video feed to the players and to the conductor.
There's a lot of wire.
A lot of wires
a lot of wire.
with the time code and then the video so that the players could see the time code as it was running. Of course, they'd have to also watch Phil for the
so
For whatever it is he
basically,
does.
you weren't
yeah.
replaced.
so basically, it's one source with the time code on it, and
Right.
then you just divide it up again with
Yeah.
little
Different monitors.
amplifiers
Yeah, we did
to all
like
the
a video
mountains.
splitter
Monitors.
and had
Yeah,
a whole
so
ration of monitors.
it was a fascinating process, and that's one of the great the things that I've really enjoyed so much about working with New Music Works is that doing things that are out of the normal live performance. I mean, it's other things that other people don't do, and being faced with challenges, problems that we have to figure out a technical solution to make the performance a success. And this was great. And actually, the first thing I was involved with it on was actually creating some of the samples that you used that were in the sampling keyboard.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And that was one of the highlights of working with the organization, really, when we went over to, I think we sampled Lou Harrison's the old Steinway piano, and we got all these crazy sounds out of it, and then I programmed it into the sampler you have. And the end result of a mixture of live players and then these sampled sounds that were very ethereal, scary, haunting sounds was a great addition to the film, I think.
And is your background video or audio or both?
Video and audio. I worked in television for 10 years before coming out here and getting into high tech, but I was always fascinated with electronic music, and I'd been playing synthesizers and working with electronic music since I was about 18 or 19. So this was a great marriage because I was working with another group that introduced me to New Music Works called Elsa Productions that was doing experimental music events, and I was doing multimedia video projection that was going behind the artist. And that's how I met
Veronique.
Phil. Yeah.
And Veronique, yeah.
And that's how I met Dave. And so
We still have the sheep on the Atari, don't
that's right, yeah. So
Sheep on the Atari.
on the
we?
Amiga,
Remember the
yes.
video toaster, right?
The video toaster, yes.
Okay, yeah.
He still has one
I
sitting
still have
in
a
his
video
garage.
toaster in my basement. Yeah, so it's more than your normal music performance often, because we're pushing the limits, we're pushing into frontiers that really aren't done often, and it's a pleasure to be a part of it.
One thing you kind of touched on, all of you, a little bit is why Santa Cruz? I mean, this is a little off topic, but it was one of my questions. Just, I mean, for instance, your new music work performances are at UCSC, at Cabrillo, Rio Theater. Did you say in a
San
swimming pool
Francisco,
or something?
yeah,
San Francisco?
in a swimming pool.
So, yeah, so okay, so that's one question
Santa
is,
Cruz Harbor.
Frog Pond.
where have you performed? Where are some of the others?
Frog Pond.
Frog
Frog Pond
Pond.
was pretty interesting.
Where's
Yeah.
that?
I did the sound design for that, yeah.
In Watsonville Hills at Sam and Therese Wright's
Yes.
estate.
Okay,
They
okay.
wanted to hold a fundraiser for us spring of May 2010, and they wanted to see if their frogs would respond to my frog requiem, which involves hundreds of different frog calls blended in with a soprano singer and our ensemble, and it worked.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
a-
Frogs came out and
Oh, they came out and
yes, not in great
talked.
numbers, but we had evidence of frogs coming up and joining the chorus. And,
funny.
so
that was a
mission
real
accomplished,
ensemble.
and we made
Yeah,
money.
that
So
was.
Yeah, because Sayaka had the frogs queued up on her laptop.
Yeah, I was using Ableton Live to.
Okay.
to cue up
Trigger,
the frog
yeah.
sounds, and we had a narrator, and we had the whole ensemble up there. And I scattered speakers around the pond. We had this enormous outdoor area.
Funny.
So we had
Fantastic
this,
it was. Great
you know,
sound
it was
there.
an interesting challenge to get enough sound so people could actually hear it.
And there was, we might as well mention the meandering long trail with the 20-odd musicians playing in behind
Oh, right,
shrubs and
yeah.
all over the place, playing music by Lou and John Cage and many living composers.
And so the people had to actually walk through the paths to
Yeah,
then
the-
hear the whole thing.
The
Oh, I
Wrights,
get
the
it.
Wrights designated a path because they wanted, it's very big, beautiful place, and they wanted people to get a tour of all the different parts of the garden, and they liked the idea of having music along the way, and we've done that at our avant-garde parties a lot.
So was what I'm thinking correct, where the speed of the music is how fast you walk?
No. Somebody's you're walking along and you hear something like a clarinet as you're approaching, and there's a clarinetist under the oak tree playing, and you might have caught the end of it or the middle, or
Does that blend with the frogs, the sound before, and then that sound blends with the next one, kind of?
in a way, as a path. They're all playing en route to the pond. The pond is the last destination for everybody, and to get to the pond, you have to go on this trail. And I forget how many stations we had, but a lot.
It was like
maybe
around
10.
at least 7. Yeah.
Seven.
Oh, that's great. It was real
Yeah.
interactive. Let's see. So why Santa Cruz? I mean, why did you all kind of end up here? I'll start with Sayaka. Is you came the
Oh,
furthest.
well. Oh, no, not to bring up my ex, no. Well, my boyfriend at the time, he got a job at Plantronics, and so we moved over here. And that was about 7 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's how I came over here.
Okay.
yeah.
And Bill, how did you end up here?
Well, that was a little. In 1976, I had good friends living down here. I did underground cartooning a bit, and they were the Santa Cruz Mountain Comics Authority, really good friends. And I was at San Francisco State, and I was finishing an animated film with one of them up at San Francisco State after I graduated, a whole year going back and forth. And Lou Harrison was down here, and I'd approached him when I was at San Francisco State because I liked his music, and I wanted to study with him. So between my friends living here and I grew up, my father was an itinerant hunter, so I was always loving nature, and I loved that Santa Cruz had this great wealth of beauty. And it's not that far from the city, so I just was drawn and pulled down by friends and studying with Lou and just being his assistant and things.
Okay, and how about you?
Well, I have kind of a weird story, actually. My dad was born and raised in Redwood City, and I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Never liked the place, but we grew up there and was just there. And then one day, my dad called up, and he'd gotten a job offer at Fairchild in Silicon Valley. And as a kid, he used to always come over Highway 9. This is before 17 was built. In fact, I don't think it even stopped in Scotts Valley at that point.
Old Santa Cruz Highway, huh?
Yeah, so you used to get a bunch of kids on there, do the Highway 9 thing, and come over and hang out in Santa Cruz. And so he called and says, "We're moving to California. If you drive the U-Haul, I'll put you up for a while until you can get a job." And I thought for about 2 minutes, and I thought, Phoenix, hot, dry, boring, don't like it much. Santa Cruz, California girl, so I'm there. So I said, "Sure, why?" And so I came here, and then I felt like I'd moved home, basically. You know, if you've ever been to Phoenix, it's very dry and hot, and the people are kind of...
Sounds awesome.
and I came here, and the roads weren't all straight, and everything in Phoenix is these 1 mile block grids. It's all, and there's lots of concrete and
Suburbia.
yeah, it's very suburban. There's that vast tracts of houses that are all the same color, and it's just very tedious. And I came here, and all these houses were different, and the roads did weird things, and everyone drove really fast, and there was a sort of feeling to the community. It was more of a community, and so I stayed here, and I've been here ever since. That's been 30 some odd years now.
Oh, that's good. How about you, Mark?
Let's see, I've lived in this area. I moved out here in 1999. From Colorado, and that was actually, that's where I was producing video. I was a full-time educational video producer, and I always loved the Bay Area. I would come out to visit my friend who worked at Oracle, and I decided one day, I'm going to make the jump. I had an interest in either getting involved in either computer animation or streaming media, which were great in big booming areas in this area, and so I moved out here and lived with my friend for a while, and then found a job in Scotts Valley at a startup called onradio.com, which was they were producing websites, interactive websites for radio stations with streaming media. And I had a friend of mine tell me, once you move down to Santa Cruz, you're never going to want to leave. And he was right. He was right. And I've been here ever since.
Well, what's interesting about this is just about most of your stories have to do with the high-tech industry, being this side of Silicon Valley. And actually, I would have assumed you all came here because of UCSC. I just thought that would be the main influence. That's interesting.
Well, I certainly had the great fortune to work with some very talented people up at UCSC. So UCSC is a great, great organization to work with.
how I got here was UCSC, and even I was already in film at UCLA, but I kind of went in through Gordon Muma in the electronic music department, and he was just like what you're, so he was kind of the precursor a little bit of New Music Works. You know, he would tie us all together, all the video and the audio people, and did you meet him?
Oh yeah, we commissioned him and premiered pieces of Gordon's.
Huh. Since '79? Yeah, he was here. He was here then, yeah. Okay, well, that gets into another subject about your guest artists and bringing artists from other places. Who did you bring, and what were some of the performances like?
In general?
Like someone, anything that
Well,
comes
there's
to
Yo
mind.
Yo Ma playing our garden party.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Here's your leg back.
How did I miss that one?
That would have been quite a concert, wouldn't it?
Well, we just did a concert with David Grisman, happenstance, good luck, and he wrote music for the concert and had a great reuniting with written music and his own scores. We played 4 of his pieces. And Mike Marshall, a little less famous, is somebody that's how we met David, and we're working with Mike this coming season and in the past. Well, in 2000 we did a concert with Robin Ford, the blues guitarist, as our main artist, and wrote music for him, and he wrote music for us, and it was one of our best-selling concerts. It was up at UCSC.
Well, the New Zealand concert was really...
Yeah, New Zealand Day. I don't know if it's so much of celebrity-oriented, but through a grant with the Christensen Fund up in Palo Alto, we were able to bring Maori singers and New Zealand composers, and collaborating with the UCSC Arboretum, which has the largest New Zealand collection outside of New Zealand of plants. We had a whole day and night of the most music that's been played of New Zealand in America to date at a single festival. and it had the Maori woman singing with the live ensemble, folk songs that our major fixer of this event was Jack Boddy, a New Zealand composer, ethnomusicologist, who had written music for Hera, the singer, to a very daring combination of a Maori singer who works only by intuition and no instruments, and having her sing her songs with the chamber orchestra all around her, and first time, and it was just
Very
exciting.
powerful.
Mark,
Yeah.
you shot that?
Yeah, I shot that, and that
Really
was
great shot too.
It was that music was so powerful. Her voice was so powerful and so primal, and it did the mixture of her very primal sounding voice and the orchestral backing was amazing. It was really
Okay, and
really
good.
one of the
We'll get to
highlights.
see some of that
Yeah, that'd be
right
great.
now.
Hekihi Kionutu Heikuyatu Ite Kore Ehio Inu Otokoku
Sayaka, let's see. The one that I did see this last year was the New Music Works,
New Music Works.
New Music
yeah,
Works,
and that's
yeah.
the one with Tandy Beale, and we did video for
and
that.
you danced, too?
And I danced as a jellyfish, yes.
Okay.
So that's right, a sea pimp. Jellyfish sea pimp. You know.
Okay, now you got to tell the story, Phil.
This is a story.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
got to tell the story.
28 second long.
So sort of like the same kind of question. I mean, does it start out with you choosing a piece, or you listen to a piece and then you interpret it? Is that how you normally do it?
For that particular dance piece, yeah, it was, he played, and I recorded the piece of him playing the guitar, and the dance of the Sea Pimps, and then I was pretty much kind of had to come up with.
To say that with a straight face.
We were all younger once, weren't we?
You closed your eyes and you visualized it, and
So you came up with the jellyfish.
Yeah,
and
a
then
great
I just
costume. There's a
and then I
triangle,
worked
isn't
actually with Barbara Burkhart, who at the time was the president of the board of directors, and she's still on the board, and she we just collaborated on what would be an interesting costume that would evoke the sea pimp, and I said, well, have a jellyfish, but combining that with kind of like a flapper dress kind of style costume, and she came up with a really cool dress and a hat that had,
That's
the
cute.
tentacles.
One thing that I notice is that you're going to have it sort of again like a little bit of a interaction with the audience, where they get to come on October 29th and dress up, and they
Costume contest.
yeah. So and a costume contest. Okay. So and it said that they have to dress up in that style.
Well, it's gala.
Gala.
Okay.
Gala.
I like all of them.
But,
Can't go wrong with that.
yeah, we're encouraging audience members to dress up as their favorite character from the movie Metropolis or from the era that it was made, or I was also thinking steampunk fashion would
I'd
work
quickly
really well with it.
describe steampunk, because I just learned that term, and I'm into goth, but I didn't know about
No,
steampunk.
I haven't
What is
really.
steampunk?
I haven't. I don't know too many people that are really into that, but.
Well, I've been
I guess
sort of playing with the steampunk
yeah,
stuff.
it's
people for
steam-powered.
about-
It's a
for about 2
steam-powered.
years now.
So what do you wear that's steampunk?
Well,
Yeah.
steampunk is the idea that if you had a steam-powered society but still had computers and high technology, but the steam powered it.
Yeah.
So think kind of like a Jules Verne twisted thing. So
Yeah,
people are
Victorian
taking
era
laptops and then they take the keyboard out and they turn it into this brass and marble kind of Victorian Edwardian
It's kind of
look. So,
Well,
so the punk comes in because people who have put the punk sensibility have turned a lot of that energy into a positive thing where they make lots of stuff.
Yeah.
So they take, lots of fun corsets and costumes, and the girls wearing really short skirts and all that. But then they have the cute hats and the Victorian kind of tops and things like that. You see lots of guys doing things with aviators, and goggles are everywhere.
Yeah.
It came on pretty strong a couple years ago.
You get around.
You're way more hip than the rest.
Isn't there some kind of a
I am.
steampunk festival?
Yeah,
or,
there
Yeah,
have been a
there's
couple
yeah,
festivals.
there are steampunk festivals.
Section
Yeah,
over
the
to the
Maker
side
Fair, yeah.
that has the steampunk area, and it's an area about the size of the studio here. And there's 20 or 30 people that are
Yeah.
hawking wares and showing things, and it's a real interesting kind of subculture. in
Well,
that
it
sense.
kind of goes along with your mission statement, which I read today online. Bringing music of our time, I'm abbreviating it, bringing music of our time to today's audience through imaginative, diverse programming. So I think that, I guess steampunk is about as kind of past to the present, bringing that together.
Works for me.
It's first time for me.
Let's dress him up as a
Yeah,
steampunk
you're gonna get
costume.
steampunked.
Yeah, and he can be conducting in steampunk. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, the conductor has to
Yeah.
represent.
See, this is how
Must
collaboration,
represent.
coerce me on TV.
Doing a new piece here, a new steampunk piece,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
steam
absolutely.
and the clatter clatter and steam. clatter, clatter.
I've got several fog machines.
have a
Oh, you do?
steampunk,
Yeah, we can have
Some
steam
fog
effects.
machines are in there, yeah. All right, we're redesigning the show, right?
That's right. Take notes. We're getting this recorded, right?
Yeah. We do laser show as well, why not?
Yeah, and I was still thinking of that steam play, the big machine going boop, 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 or something. Yeah. Silver. See, I wear silver to go along with your theme.
It works very well, yeah. You have to wear a funny hat. Almost a lot
Yeah,
of
must
steampunk
have,
has they have weird
It's all about
hats. Yeah.
accessories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about the show coming up?
Oh, well, I think it's going to be an extremely fun thing to do because Lawrence has taken great efforts. He has Dag Weiser,
And Leslie Murray, they built this huge mural.
and it's
that's-
fantastic.
yeah,
It is
it's-
stunning. I
yeah.
mean, the art. Part of why people love Metropolis is because it has very futuristic, gorgeous settings. It just sometimes
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
pan through for 20 seconds on these beautiful architectural, strange
Yeah,
things.
it's very architectural.
And Dag he did the large cardboard dancers that are on the side of the Rio Theater. And I mean, since the early '80s, I've known of his work with Moving and Storage Dance Company,
Didn't he
Therese
win-
Adams, who we did a lot of our collaborations with, and he's been doing cardboard art for all kinds of dances and scenes, and he's very quietly contributing. And this thing is just really, I mean, it's right up there with the art of the film.
Oh, good. I'm glad you mentioned
You
that.
go there
yeah.
and you're going to feel like you're
Yeah,
more
that's why it's
place
called,
to be ensconced.
it says like Metropolis, a live soundtrack experience because it's very much, we're trying to go for
How
this
big
very,
is the mural
Great,
that we saw? the
20 feet by 8 feet, I think.
20
is-
feet
and then
wide,
also the
8 feet
entryway,
high.
I think, is also going to have some
sounds
artwork
great.
on it. But yeah.
And his own photo in the press release, he's done it up to look like one of the characters in the film, black and white picture of he looks like Rotwang, the evil scientist.
Oh yeah, I grabbed that photo from I think when he won the Gail Rich Award.
Oh.
Yeah, in 2009. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. No, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had down here his name and Leslie Murray and the art coming into it.
The chemistry of it is that there's a choir of 20 or so people singing in an ensemble of 7, and the whole cooking scheme of putting these things together is going to be, we're doing it in a very short amount of time. The week of, our guest artist Tim Harris, our electric violinist, is just coming in that week, and it's going to be a very dynamic, exciting place to be. I mean, and I think we have a lot of the great parts in place to make it work, but it's still not a done deal by any means, and it's such a large historic piece. It really has earned its keep, and I hope we can make it, even that more enjoyable. That's our aim.
Well, I'll be there. And normally I'd say bring a camera, but that's your job. Yay, I'll just come.
Multiple cameras work.
I have to go find
More
some
angles.
steampunk outfits.
I'll have to look that up.
Type it in the internet, you'll get all kinds
Yeah,
of
you
cool
will.
stuff.
There's lots of cool
Most of
images.
them are actually, family okay too.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of things you type in these days.
So would you like anything else to add? Any of you?
You've been kind of quiet. You should say something.
I don't know. I just think that it's just a great opportunity to work with a group like New Music Works, because it's an organization that brings musical events to the community that just wouldn't happen any other way. You just wouldn't find them any other way. So I hope people come out to see Metropolis, because they will definitely be very blown away by how cool it's going to be.
Great, great.
Can I make
Okay.
an organizational plug?
Sure.
We were astounded to find out last week that New Music Works has been, that Cecil Carnes passed away in February of this year, and she set up a designated fund for New Music Works of $27,700. And now we have something that's kind of permanent that people can donate to, and it just gives a real sense of initiative.
And inertia.
No inertia.
Something with an I in
Nutrition.
it. That
Detritus.
and we've had a great year of having the Santa Cruz Community Foundation helping, and they've helped for a good 5 or 6 years consistently, and it's helped us get to a point where it feels like we can run a little bit now.
If people listening wanted to contribute,
if they're
they would go to your
interested,
website.
then, they can go to the
Okay.
website and contact us through that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming tonight, and
Thank you
it
for
should be
having
really
us.
Yeah.
exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
Very nice
Thank
of
you.
you.
And also, I'd like to thank Community TV. I'd like to thank Ron Powell for directing the show, Dave Goldman, Matilda Rand, Dave Gibson, Karen Scott on Character Generator, and Paul Logan on audio. And stay tuned for our next show.